Welcome to Real Geek Media. We are here. It is June 20th, 2024. I am Hayden Stoll. He is Christopher Michael Blake. We are getting together this week to talk about Gremlins, 1984 horror comedy. I don't know if you could probably fill a couple other genres in here. We're going to talk about that today, as well as the box office. And if you stick with us later, we are going to talk about some funny and interesting news stories. But first, Christopher, how you doing?
Not bad, Hayden. Not bad. Unfortunately, I often eat after midnight, and then I turn into a gremlin.
Yeah.
Then I go around with my trench coat on the subway, and well, that's what happens after that.
If they made this movie now, it would be called Hangry.
This is the thing. If they made it nowadays, it'd be CGI,
Yeah, it would be terrible.
and it would look absolutely god awful. Part of the reason it looks so good is the animatrix on it. It looked awesome. The puppets on this thing look amazing.
This was like, I mean, if you can equate like the Gizmo effect to anything, it would maybe be Baby Yoda with the Mandalorian. That toy was like for kids. Everybody had Gizmo, like stuffed animal. Everybody did. That thing was everywhere. It was just hugely marketable thing in this film. And the design of it was just perfect to the point where, you could spawn so much merchandise from this. Even the Gremlins, like when I was a kid, I had a striped Gremlin and I had Gizmo. Like everybody had that stuff. These things were just huge. Gremlins. This movie was huge. But you bring up a point with the design of the creature and the actual puppeteering of it, and all of the Gremlins and the other Mogwai before they change, just really good, really good. When you rewatch it, it's like, for today's standards, like you said, all this stuff would be CGI and it would look like trash. It was good back then.
I kind of think what's even more amazing is that 1984, 1985, we're 7, 8 years old at the time, and we're going to the theater to go see this movie. My daughter is 7. I tried to get her to rewatch this because she watched it earlier last year. Oh, it's too scary. I can't deal with this.
Huh.
Now, and I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, what's so scary about this? Then you got Stripe melting,
Right.
firing a gun, firing blades, going around with a chainsaw trying to kill Billy. The mom's in the kitchen. Let me tell you, the mom's basically the Terminator in this movie.
Yes.
She sticks the one in the blender. She puts the other one in the microwave. That is
the best.
I mean,
it's the best scene in the movie for me. Is the kitchen scene.
There's just a couple. They try to hang the dog. I mean,
yeah.
So many frightening little sparks in here. And let's face it, even the backhoe truck going through the neighbor's house.
Yeah.
That in itself, those people aren't living. They're dead.
Yeah.
So many people. The lady who got thrown out of the house by she deserved it. She was a total witch.
Yeah. But I
remember those chairs. I mean, those chairs, they were always displayed on TV. Those were ads for those things.
You saw commercials all the time back then.
Yes. And, I guess nowadays with social media, if it's not on TikTok in 20 seconds or 5 seconds, you can opt out of it. You don't have a frame of reference for this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember the really big commercial when we were younger? The one that everybody made fun of?
Where's the beef? Life alert.
Better.
Life alert.
Yes. Help. I've fallen and I can't get up. But that was huge back then.
Yep.
And today there's no reference for that stuff. There will never be another commercial that, and let's face it, the Super Bowl every year for the last 10 years now, the commercials suck. And everybody complains about them.
Yep. It's true.
And they spend millions and millions of dollars. You see what Netflix wants for a commercial during Christmas?
Oh, God, I don't even want to know.
$5 million.
That's crazy. But people are stupid enough to do it. There'll be a company shelling it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about Gremlins. So
Gremlins. Now, Gremlins, 1984, directed by Joe Dante, and if that name sounds familiar to anyone, Joe Dante, really had his wheelhouse. He's directed a lot of films that you've watched.
Give me the breakdown, Hayden. Give me the breakdown. Don't skirt around it. Let's go.
Let's go. Okay. He's got Piranha.
Great movie.
The Howling.
Okay. I'm not a fan of the original, but I believe it or not, my favorite's like part 4. But
okay.
That's another story.
Okay. Gremlins.
Well, Christopher Leaf is terrible.
Yeah. Obviously.
Your sister's a werewolf. Your sister's a gremlin. That's, Okay.
So we got Gremlins. We got Explorers.
Great movie. I was going to bring that up because one of the actors in this movie, Dick Miller, is in Explorers. And if you know who Dick Miller is.
Yep.
He plays a lot of older characters. He's been around since the 1950s in movies. He plays the older guy who's chasing the kids around in the Explorers movie.
Yes.
But he's had so many cameos in so many movies. He was the arms dealer in Terminator. You can't do that in this, Right? Yeah. But you remember him.
Yeah.
And he's great in the movie. Night of the Creeps. He's the one with the flamethrower.
Right.
It's just a great movie again. He has so many small bit roles in these movies because he knows people. And I guess at the time he's not big enough. Chopping Mall, he's in that movie.
Love that movie. Love that movie.
Great career.
Yeah.
Again, bigger when he was younger.
Right.
But the 80s really popularized slasher films, and that really it helped him out. These movies, for sure. The whole dialogue with him at the back with the Gremlins, and it sets the whole thing up.
Oh,
without that whole dialogue and the whole, they put the Gremlins in the watches.
Yep.
And the foreign
TVs,
cars, they don't work.
Yep.
It sets the whole thing, the whole premise of the movie up. He's like the racist neighbor.
Yep. Yeah.
But keep going. You said Joe Dante. We were talking about him. Sorry.
Okay. We were at Explorers, Inner Space.
Oh, okay.
The Burbs.
One of my favorites.
Love The Burbs.
Yep.
Gremlins 2.
I can forgive him for that one.
Yeah.
That was like we're going to cash this out now.
Matinee, which I don't recall.
That's the one with John Goodman. And they had, if I recall correctly, it was like the Tingler premise. So basically when the Tingler movie came out with Vincent Price, they had buttons under the seats that would vibrate when the Tingler came on screen.
Okay.
Make the audience jump. Or they would have snow come down. It was like the visual effects of the theater to try to amp up the audience reaction. And ultimately it failed. But I never saw Matinee, but John Goodman is another great actor. I mean,
he is.
Again, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, we took him for granted.
Oh, yeah.
Now, today, it's like, wow, what a treasure.
Yeah.
So.
98, Small Soldiers.
Okay, we can forgive him that, too.
Yeah, Looney Tunes Back in Action, 2003.
Okay.
Then some things that I have not heard of. Trapped Ashes, The Hole, Burying the X. I haven't heard of any of those. But, a lot of movies that you've seen that you may not know who Joe Dante is, but he was pretty, well-used director. The cast, like you had already mentioned, Dick Miller. Zach Galligan as Billy.
Okay.
Solid performance, right? Like, just he's your hero, right? He's, could be, I don't know, gullible at times, but he's like you could relate to him. He's got the boss who's a jerk, right?
Judge Reinhold. You hear about him?
Yep. Yep. Judge Reinhold.
Again, you don't see him, so I wonder if they couldn't pay him for more than just that one day, or his career just got so big at that time.
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Cop took him off, and then he came out with the one with Fred Savage, and then.
Oh yeah.
Who knows? I don't know what happened to his career kind of after that. I saw him recently talking about the new Beverly Hills Cop.
Right. Axel F.
Yeah. So, but again, I only remember Zach Galligan for one other movie.
What is that?
I believe it was House of Wax.
Was he in that? Really?
The 1981, the 89 version. It was like I don't think he could find any other work. I mean, I don't know if Gremlins 2 just destroyed his career or I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I don't remember him in anything else. If you got his film history, I'd love to hear some of the other movies he's been in.
Let me look. I got it right here. Zach Galligan. All right. Gremlins, Nothing Lasts Forever, Waxwork, 1988.
That was it. Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Then you got Gremlins 2. Then a Mortal Passions, Zandali, Waxwork 2.
All direct to video.
Warlock, The Armageddon, 93.
I guess that was without Julian Sands, if I had to guess.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
95 Cyborg 3, The Recycler. And then it's just all downhill. A bunch of stuff that
I guarantee you he wasn't the cyborg in that one. He was the guy who ends up trying to protect somebody and getting killed, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Not a whole lot. The career never really kind of took off.
Which I'm surprised. He's in this movie. He's the star of this movie.
He is, yeah. Yeah. And, he's like, as Billy, he's likable, right? He's likable. As a kid, you feel like you're Billy. Like, you feel like you could be Billy. Phoebe? What's it? No, go ahead.
So, I don't think it's so much that he's likable in this movie, but they surround him with the likable components.
True.
And let me give you the scenario. And anybody can be likable in this scenario. It's almost easy to get laid at this point. You're hanging around with young Corey Feldman.
Right.
You have a great dog who's running around, terrorizing the old lady next door, and he's running around to the bank. You got the boss who's on top of you. You got the good-looking girl who's fawning over you. And then you got the dad who's the inventor.
Right.
And he's the kooky dad who's never home. I mean, you can see every time he shuts the door, the sword's falling off the wall. And, I mean, he has to get the kid, I got to get my kid this big thing for Christmas. You're like, well, how old's your son? 11, 10? No, he's like 23. Still living at the house.
Yeah.
But, they surrounded him with enough components in that movie to be likable. And then, of course, the creature Gizmo, the Mogwai.
Yeah.
You could put those things around me and almost make me likable.
And you mentioned
very close.
You mentioned the dad, portrayed by Hoyt Axton, who is actually a singer-songwriter.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's a musician. In several films. Other ones, Black Stallion, is probably the other notable film he's in. But career as a country folk singer, which is I did not know until we were researching this movie.
He's a great narrator for the film.
Oh yeah, he's got a good voice for it. But you got Phoebe Cates.
Very dark turn from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. She's
Yeah.
talking about her father in the chimney.
Yes.
I don't like Christmas. Again, at 7 years old, we're sitting there like we're eating this whole thing up.
Yeah,
But you don't realize how dark.
That whole monologue was like, whoa. when you first hear it, you're like, oh, okay, she's got a lot going on here. But for me, the real stealing the show, and I said it before, is the kitchen scene, and that's with the mother portrayed by Frances Lee McCain. I love this scene, and it's disgusting with the microwave and the blender, and wow, it's like you said, you put it away like that. She's basically the Terminator, which is true. It's just a great scene in this movie. If you're going to watch anything, a clip from this movie, watch the kitchen scene. It's all kinds of disgusting, but in all the best ways.
I kind of look at it from the opposite point of view. This is very much a Christmas movie. I know we talked about Die Hard and
Right.
Lethal Weapon, and we jokingly say that those are Christmas movies. This is a Christmas movie. It takes place during Christmas.
Well, the whole plot is central to him getting a gift for Christmas for Billy.
Right. And of course, not to be that guy, but the first character who dies is the Black Professor. Typical for all 80 horror movies, right? It's always the black guy who gets it first.
And
that's a trope. That's a trope in horror.
I'm glad you mentioned him, played by Glenn Turman, who if
He did a
you're,
great job. He did a great job in the movie.
if
Hey,
you
hey,
have,
come on out. I got the Snickers bar.
yeah, he's great in this. And, a little tidbit about him. I mean, I don't know if he was in The Wire. I don't know if you've,
Was he the
he was the
really?
mayor in The Wire.
I thought he would have been the detective. Okay.
No, yeah, he was the mayor. And, he was also up for the
Love
role
that show.
of Lando Calrissian that went to
Really?
Billy D. Williams. Yeah.
I love The Wire. One of my favorite
Great
all-time shows.
Yes, great show.
I just love it. So I
Yeah.
can't speak enough. They really cast this movie really well for
They did.
1984.
They
Which
did.
brings me up to something I texted you when I was watching this. Kathleen Kennedy was an executive producer, and I almost had to. I was like, I saw it when I was watching the opening screen of the movie. And I was like, what? I almost couldn't believe it. Because again, there's no way that they're making this nowadays without Disney putting some of that, I don't want to say woke, but agenda-driven material in there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny, as a producer, if you look at Kathleen Kennedy's track record, and she's got a lot of hits to her, her name. If you run the list, I'll just give you a few here in a second. As I pull up her list of credits, executive producer, Gremlins, Goonies,
Come on.
American Tail, Back to the Future 2,
Oh, wow.
Gremlins 2, Back to the Future 3, Empire of the Sun, Color Purple, E.T., Arachnophobia, Hook, Jurassic Park, Congo, Twister, AI, Munich, War of the Worlds, Sixth Sense, Rogue One, obviously all the Star Wars stuff that's, since Lucasfilm was acquired by Disney. But she's got a very good, if you look at her filmography of executive producer credits, they're hits, a lot of hits. So, you can't deny her of that, right? She was a good producer, before she was a studio head. And that's a whole different story, in my opinion.
So, jumping ship from Kathleen Kennedy real quick. The other thing I noticed while I was watching the film credits was the voice of Gizmo. Did you see this?
No.
They had like 10 different people voice Gizmo and I guess add different parts to it. But there was one name that stood out above the rest.
Who's that?
Howie Mandel.
Really?
Yes. And it's kind of odd because he made the news this week. I don't know if you saw it or not.
No, I did not.
I only read the article briefly, so if I get this wrong, so be it. But my interpretation was he came home and his wife was a bloody mess. She had fallen near the pool or something to that effect. The media speculated that she was intoxicated, but he refuted that and said it was not intoxicants, rather CBD gummies. So,
Whoa.
but I mean, I remember him from Bobby's World.
Yeah.
I seen him live when he had hair. I saw him in stand-up in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't have been any older than 12 or 13 when he was still putting the condom on his head and blowing it up around his. I mean, he had to stop because of the nose passages and everything. But that was like his signature bit back then. And, he was just starting to get real big around that time. Because, again, we're back at the night, Robin Williams and
Yep.
Sam Kinison and all those types of comedians at the time. But, yeah, Howie Mandel. Who would have thought? I never knew.
No, I would have never guessed that. That's interesting. Interesting tidbit. You do mention voice roles in this. The DJ, the radio DJ, portrayed by Don Steele, who is a famous disc jockey from the 60s through the mid 90s. And for those of you who have recently seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he is the DJ on the radio that they are listening to throughout the film.
Is that right?
Real Don Steele. That is.
I had no idea.
That is the guy who portrayed Ricky Rialto, the DJ.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like you said, interesting casting notes, well casted film. Would you being that you and I saw this as children? Like, would you? This is like a family horror film. You know, I don't know how you credit it. Like, what do you attribute it? Right? Because I'm sure it was PG when it came out, and you know, the violence is like some of the scenes are really gruesome, and a lot of people die in this movie. But it has so much comedic elements in it, and you know, obviously the hook for the family thing is Gizmo. So I don't know. I don't like. It's not a gruesome horror. Maybe what do you equate it to? Maybe like Five Nights at Freddy's kind of vibe.
No. Have you seen Five Nights at Freddy's yet?
Mm-hmm.
The tone of Five Nights at Freddy is for sure more adult. You know, the child abduction part and
Right.
the potential for molestation being, you know, without being spoken of. But they don't really show anything. There's not even any blood, I think, in the movie.
Right.
Or if it is, it's very tame. They did a very good job of downplaying the violence in that movie, Five Nights at Freddy. Here, I mean, even when the eggs are kind of opening up like the thing cocoons, you know, the creatures are coming out and the smoke and the, you know, even the Mogwai sitting there throwing himself on the ground, having a little spasm when the things are shooting up out of him. And then you go back to the bar scene where they're blowing each other's brains out.
Yeah.
And, you know, the one sitting there with the flasher, you know, with the trench coat and the sunglasses, and then, you know, they all go to the movie theater and sing Snow White. You know, so it's how do I equate it? For me, it's always going to be a family movie because of the age that I saw it in. And I'm not saying that we're overprotective nowadays, but kids want adventure. Kids want some kind of. They want to go. Oh no! You know, they enjoy doing that. They want to have some kind of thrill.
Yes, I agree.
And it's boring if it's not.
Yeah.
You know, the new Puss in Boots movie that just came out recently wasn't particularly well done or animated, but they had the thread plot line that, hey, I'm on my last life. I can only die so many times. And the character who's chasing him around is literally death. And he's after him because he knows there's no coming back from this one. I've got you now. And the threat is possibly going to be there that I might have to give up my life to save my friends.
Yeah.
And that's the overall.
That's the hook.
Thing with this movie.
That's the hook.
It's, you know, what's going to happen? Oh, look, I mean, basically he's straight was fiddling around at the fountain. He could have jumped in there and spawned a couple hundred of them. But he's sitting there, oh, you know, I got this under wrap. Nothing's going to happen. And, you know, here comes Gizmo in the Barbie car. Yeah. It seems stupid, but it was.
But that's a heroic moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The father just happens to show up.
Right.
You know. But it works.
Yes.
But it works.
Yes.
Again, I'm not taking away from the movie because I love the movie. Mm-hmm. I loved it since I was a kid. Like I said, I watched it last year for the first time probably in about 30 years. And I still liked it as much as probably I did when I first watched it. So, not taking anything away from it. Love the cast, love the direction, love the audience, or not the audience, but the cinematography, the actors, the casting. Everything's top notch in this movie. The special effects.
And
you bring these kinds of special effects back, please.
And you say everything's top notch, and I agree with that. And one thing that I do want to point out of all those things you just mentioned, the score is done by Jerry Goldsmith, who to many is John Williams level composer, and maybe even better than John Williams. Jerry Goldsmith's score is tremendous in this movie. It's tremendous in every movie he does, but it's just another example, like you had just said, of another very, like, they pick all these right people, and he's the right person for this. And the score, you know, that the theme of the thing, the jingle that is throughout, it's memorable, and he's a great composer. Do you know the budget this was done on?
I gotta say back then it was probably 80 million.
11 million.
Wow.
You know the box office? You want to know?
Go ahead, give it to me.
212.9 million, which is a massive hit for 1984.
Oh, sure. I mean, this is like right up there with E.T.
Yeah, massive hit.
I mean, what, E.T. was what, 82?
E.T. was 82 or 81.
Yeah, because it was the same year as the thing. Yeah, you know, and it's around the same time frame as Return of the Jedi, which I think was what, 83.
Jedi was 83. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, think about it, back to back to back.
Yeah.
You got the Indiana Jones in there.
Right.
And again, we talked about Temple of Doom earlier this year, and I thought some of the special effects on that were really hokey. Green screens and the planes exploding and the crocodile used footage, and you don't get that sense with this movie.
No.
And therefore it ages very well.
Yeah.
I'm like, I go back and watch the Temple of Doom, and I can come out here 40 years later and trash it, you know. But
this was a pleasure to watch again. It really was. It really was. That's the best thing I could say about it. I was like smile ear to ear watching this thing. Yeah. You know, it just brought back a lot of memories, and you know, it's a fun movie. It really is. And you know, grab your kids, watch it with your kids. You know, it's absolutely.
Before we finish this up, I want to ask. Let's go over the 3 rules real quick.
Right.
So the first rule is obviously no bright light.
No bright light. Keep away from sunlight. Yep.
Look, that's the same rule I have in the bedroom. Nobody wants to see me. Believe me, you put the bright light on me, it's like, you know, nothing's going to be happening after that. I like disappear. So let's keep the bright lights off me.
Noted.
Right. Oh, absolutely. So then you got the second one, which is...
Don't feed after midnight.
Which, again, is also applicable to me in the bedroom, because otherwise it's going to be smelly as anything in there. Nobody wants to smell that. The stains on the bed sheet are not...
No.
Oh, yeah. You don't want those either.
Yeah.
And so then we get to the third one.
Don't get them wet.
Which, is for me, is the only way to have fun. So... I'm just saying.
So are you a Mogwai?
I could identify as one for today.
Nice choice. Nice. She absolutely would approve of that. You might have a job waiting for you at Disney.
LGBTQ and M.
Yeah, there you go.
Mogwai at the end.
Oh man.
We went over the furries, right? Got dressed as Gizmo. One of those.
He's the first furry. He was the original furry. Oh God.
I don't condone that.
You get the Gizmo and Harry and the Henderson crossover. But so ultimately, you know, Gremlins is fantastic movie. Holds up after all these years. A lot of fun. Just a pleasure to watch again. And, you know, I don't know if there's anything else to say about it.
Well, before we head into box office projections, I want to start off by saying, is your business looking for an affordable way to gain and attract new clients? Real Geek Media and Entertainment is now offering sponsorships on their podcast and website. Hayden, are you aware that right now Real Geek Media is running a summertime deal for your company? $30 for just $30. Just think about that. That's less than a pack of baseball cards cost nowadays. You can advertise your business here on this podcast. You want to be a part of the podcast? You want to sponsor us? We have tier packaging for that also. But advertising starts with just as low as $30 for the summer. Come on out and join the fun. Visit realgeekmedia.com. Click on the link to sponsor us, advertise with us, or donate here to get started. Again, that's www.realgeekmedia.com, realgeekmedia.com. Hayden, I also want to let you know that this Sunday, I'm finally, or not Saturday, I'm finally wrapping up my promotional tour for being an author. I've been on the tour now for the last 12 out of 15 weeks on the weekends, promoting my books and selling my books all over the state of New Jersey. But this weekend I'll be at NEPA in Scranton, in Pennsylvania, at their drive-in theater, at their giant flea market. They're going to have 140 vendors. And then that night, they're playing the movie Candyman.
Nice.
They're
Nice.
going to have Tony Todd and Virginia Madison there doing autographs. Stars of the movie. But if you're interested, come on out. See Christopher Michael Blake. I'll be there signing my books. Cape May Murder, Seance, Pray for Dawn, Pyramid of the Parasite. Sit down, talk about the podcast, talk about horror, talk about my Mogwai fetish. Whatever you want to talk about, we can discuss. All for the low price. I think they're charging $25 for people to get into the drive-in. But like I said, 140 vendors. The event's huge. It's gonna be beautiful weather. Stay for the movie. Hayden, what's up with box office projections this week?
Let's find out. We wait with bated breath.
That was bad breath on my part, not bated. I was looking for some Tic Tacs, but couldn't find any. So last week, or 2 weeks ago, we had Cody from Paranormal Sharp on our program, Sharper Side of Paranormal, rather. And he hit this one almost on the nail. Right? On the head on the nail, right? We were talking about the movie Bad Boys.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, for those of you who don't know in the audience, for the last 4 weeks, I've been guessing like it's a Boeing plane right now. It's just going down and down, like bolts are flying off this thing. You see a window fly off, and passengers are running all over the place saying they're seeing aliens, and I can't get a projection right. Well, this week, Hayden, I trump you. I knew it was my week. Bad Boys, you said 40 million, Hayden. I said 21. Cody said 56. Cody took the pie. So, Cody, if you're listening, 56 million. You win the golden fleece for the week. You did take that one. Remember the second movie we talked about, Hayden?
Ooh, what was it? I
Don't worry. The people in the movie theater who went to go see it don't remember it either. Don't worry about it. That was the M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, Irina.
Yes, yes.
The Watchers.
Watchers, right.
Right, The Watchers. Nobody's watching The Watchers, but...
who watches The Watchers?
I don't know. I'm waiting for Deadpool. So, Hayden, you guessed 12 million. Cody guessed 17. Somehow, there was an epiphany. The cat came over and whispered in my ear and told me 7. I hit the nail right there. It was 7 exactly.
Nice.
Couldn't believe it.
Nice. That's
Basically,
awesome.
I gave you the sweet chin music. I took the belt and ran out of the ring real quick. So if you want it back, Hayden, this is the opportunity. We're going to review 2 movies this week. Tell me your impressions. Tell me what you think we're going to do. And I'm going to start you off with the alcoholic himself who loves to throw phones in hotel rooms, Russell Crowe. I shouldn't say he's an alcoholic. I don't know that for a fact. JT, he is. He's stealing other people's drinks in hotel bars, but Russell Crowe, we don't know that. So, The Exorcism with Russell Crowe. Give me your opinion on this movie. Have you seen it?
Listen, I would have never guessed in a million years that Russell Crowe would find his wheelhouse in these types of movies in his late career. It's like he was the Pope's exorcist, and now he's the exorcism. Is there any other horror ones that, with exorcisms that we could just keep him on standby for casting? I don't know. This does not look good. Now, it looks like he's the one that's getting possessed in this movie, yes. Right? So, I don't know. Like, I thought the Pope's Exorcist was okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was solid. This does not look good to me. Maybe it's because I want to root for Russell Crowe, not root against him. So, I don't know. I'm going to go... The Watchers did 7. This one's going to do 8. Though it has more, a bit more billable actor. Maybe I'll go 12.
Oof, okay. So this is my opinion. I think somebody somewhere, some executive, saw The Pope's Exorcist and said, "This should have been out in the theater. We missed our shot. We could have made some big bucks just with word of mouth alone." Because let's face it, social media really kind of helped The Pope's Exorcist. Once people were like, "Oh, this is pretty good,"
Yeah.
that probably would have banked 50 million
Oh yeah.
in the theater
Definitely.
during a run, and then they could have put it on Netflix afterwards.
Yeah.
So I think that they're trying to capitalize on that. It's kind of like get him back in the studio real quick
Yeah.
and give me a script.
I can see that.
I hate this. I hate to think like maybe I'm wrong. These movies do take a while to come out, but you never know what the screen actors, strike that they had in terms of things and how it went, how long things were delayed for.
Yeah.
I almost think you're dead on, Hayden. And if we were on The Price is Right, I would say $1. Because I really believe that you either hit it right on the head or you just slightly over.
Okay.
And therefore, I have to go 11 million.
Okay. Ooh, man, this is gonna be.
That's why I said I really think I was thinking 11, and you went 7, and I said I got him, and then or 8, and I was like I got him, and then I would have put like 8.1, and I would have had you. So yeah, I'll go 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting to see.
I'd be going $1. Believe me, $1 all day.
Like I want to see more Russell Crowe in movies. I love Russell Crowe, but I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I have no desire to be like, this looks interesting. But as the Pope's Exorcist, he was good in that movie. He was solid. He's usually good for a solid performance, even now. I don't know.
For that movie, The Pope's Exorcist, they really had a good combination of script, cinematography, the background of the monastery where all this bad stuff was kind of happening, the right possession kind of stuff going on, the religious undertones. They had it all right there. This one, it's kind of looks like he's like an actor coming onto a screen, and then
right. It's the set of Scream 3 for Stab 3. That's all I thought of when I saw that. I was like,
I like that. I like that movie though, so I can't say anything. I like Scream 3.
I'm not saying it in a derogatory fashion, but that's the first thing that popped in my head when bad things happen on horror movie set. Oh man.
The second movie that's coming out June 28th, and I don't know how these movies even make any money. I don't know who's going to see them. I don't know who's a fan of these things. A Quiet Place, day one. Yeah, and that's exactly my sentiment as well.
Help me out here. Quiet Place, the original one, was it only streaming when it came out, or was that a theatrical release? I don't remember.
That was theater.
That was a theatrical release. Because this is now the third in the series.
Unfortunately.
I gotta be honest, I've not seen any of them. Because maybe I don't know, maybe I'm missing the boat on it. But there was nothing about it that was like, I better watch Quiet Place. I better watch this, right? And, I get, what is the gist of it, right? Like, you make noise and the creatures are going to come and snatch you, right? That's the whole thing.
Right. So, basically if you make any kind of noise, it draws them. They have like extra sensory. They can't see, but they can hear.
Okay.
And it's like extra sensory. So even like a breath, they'll hear it and they'll just tear you apart. I guess this is the whole background of how they came and invaded the United States and the world.
These types of tellings of this type, right, where we're going to see the onset of the outbreak, don't ever work. They don't ever work. There's something to be said about the mystery of that leads us to the first Quiet Place movie, or any movie in like an apocalyptic franchise. The second you show me how the sausage is made, I'm just like,
I disagree with you on one movie.
Which one?
This popped in my head, and that was 28 Weeks Later. And the start of that movie for me is just my heart out. I mean, but
I'll say this, that's just a scene from that, because that movie is still after the original movie,
right?
But that scene, I agree with you, that is a great scene, horrifying scene, but that was not the basis for the entire film. That was just showing us what this guy went through, right? You know, he just, you know, left his family for dead to save his life. Horrifying. But, like, if that was the whole movie, maybe. But, you know, when you get, like, Fear the Walking Dead was awful. Season 1, you saw the onset of it. It's terrible. Nobody, like, I was better off not seeing this, right? Anytime you're doing a prequel to show, like, what happened at the beginning, none of it works. When was the last time it worked? So this movie is, you know, people are going to see it because it's part of that franchise, and I'm sure there's fans. I don't know. Like, how big is the release for this? I'm guessing it's a pretty big release, wide release.
Yeah, it's going to be a wide release. I disagree with you on Fear the Walking Dead on one point. I thought the family was very annoying.
Yep.
Almost.
They were horrible. They were horrible.
And don't get me wrong. The husband in that TV show is very good. Even the wife, she's very good. They're both very good actors and actresses. I just found the characters annoying. The kids are annoying. I was almost rooting for them to get eaten every episode. But the people that they encounter while they're on the road were so much more compelling than anybody that we met in The Walking Dead recently.
Well, later seasons of Walking Dead were awful.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But, you know, so for me, the people that they meet just become, they're the main characters almost for me. They're the people that I'm rooting for, not so much the family. I can really care about Madison and her daughter and the junkie son, and I'm much more interested in the militia aspect and
stuff. Yeah,
the guy who's driving around on the boat, and the guy who's the former cartel torture guy. I mean, those are the people I'm like, wow, and they're great actors. I mean, they're all fantastic actors in the show. So again, I'm not taking anything away from them. I'll give you my projection if you want first.
Yeah.
Again, I had no idea what the budget on this thing was, but I can tell you, I don't know what the last one made. The first one had one heart-wrenching scene in the movie. Other than that, I could care less. Who is it? John Krasinski? Is that who's directing this? That's kind of like his franchise.
Yeah. Yes.
So this is going to do bigger numbers than The Exorcism. I think The Exorcism's going to do okay, but this is almost like an approved date type movie, I think. It's got to be PG-13, right?
I imagine it's PG-13. I'm not seeing the rating. Well, before you say your number. All right. Part 2 on a budget of, let's say, $60 million made $297 million.
Okay, yeah, we're making a part 3. We're making a part 3, Hayden.
So instead of making a part 3, we make a prequel. And I don't know, man. Okay, well, let me say this. Okay, A Quiet Place Part 3 is in the works, scheduled for release in 2025.
This has got to be it. This has got to be part 3.
No, this is in addition. They're making part 3.
Oversaturation.
Yep.
Here you go. Here's the number. You ready?
Ready.
I'll go 20 million. And that's being very kind.
20 mil.
That's very kind. There's nothing coming out other than Despicable Me the following week.
I'm going to go... 20 is, I think, a solid guess here. Let me go 24.
Okay.
And I'm not happy about that, but I don't know. This series just, I don't know. I don't see it.
I can definitely see for the next 2 weeks, Inside Out 2 ruin the box office.
Yeah, 100%.
I know. I've got my ticket for tomorrow already. My daughter's last day of school was today.
I hear lots of good things about it. Lots of good things about it.
Never saw part 1. My daughter wants to show me part 1 before we go. I'm like, maybe we'll see. It depends how much I get done tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
good.
But yeah, I mean, let's face it, I think that's going to crush the box office again this week. And probably the next week after that.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
So.
Listen, it's a well-reviewed Pixar film. And those types of movies have legs and they make a lot of money. The track record is there for it. It's a well-reviewed, well-received film. It's going to make money. So I agree with you.
Closing thoughts, Hayden.
Real quick, before we hop off onto news stories, did you see at all, we're talking streaming, Tubi. Are you familiar with Tubi?
Absolutely.
Okay. Tubi had its most watched month ever in May. And it surpassed Disney Plus, Max, Paramount Plus, and Peacock in viewers. Does this surprise you?
There's an old adage. If it's for free, it's for me.
Agreed.
And
do you think...
Now, I can say that I was on Disney Plus the other day because I was trying to use a new computer screen to watch The Acolyte for the week. And I'm not going to give you any opinions. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. And the hoops they made me jump through to try to get access to this.
Wow.
And then they were offering, I saw this one. Now I'm currently in a subscription plan for Disney Plus. Just Disney Plus for like $13 a month. Maybe $12. They're currently offering Hulu plus Disney Plus with ads for $8 a month. And I was like, well, I would switch because that's a saving of money.
Mm-hmm.
And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out how to do it. There's no telephone number for customer support to call. It's just, it becomes a hassle. And finally, after 2 hours of trying to do this, and then I found out, oh yeah, The Acolyte doesn't debut till 9 o'clock Eastern. I'm like, I don't remember that. I always remembered it being midnight. And that bothered me. That bothered the hell out of me. I was like, I can't. Why did they change that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I'll
tell you what.
Time?
I think they're the reason for them changing that is because the midnight release, nobody's watching it. But if you set a time, 9 o'clock, you're making it appointment viewing, like House of the Dragon. You know, HBO, Sunday night, 9 p.m., you're watching House of the Dragon. It's appointment viewing. I think that's what they're trying to do, though you're not making shows that good for me to make it appointment viewing. I'm going to watch that when I feel like it. I'm not going to watch it.
That's what I did with House of the Dragon this weekend. It was a pretty good episode.
I enjoyed House of the Dragon. Yeah.
I mean, I forgot who most of the characters were, but I mean...
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a solid episode.
The end of that episode was fantastic.
This information I got from LA Times, and I'm not surprised by it. At what you said about being free, and I think people are starting to get a little turned off with rising costs of these subscriptions and just crappy product, crappy shows. People, what am I going to watch? I don't want to. In the case of Disney Plus, subscription was raised, Max was raised. I'm sure Paramount Plus and Peacock as well. Like, goes up. Tubi is sitting there free, and people are going to divert to the alternative that's cheaper.
I know that the rumor is that they're trying to pull off more bundles between these major conglomerates, and Xfinity, I think, is now offering. Again, I should probably call and see if I can get another upgrade. They're offering Peacock, Netflix, and I think it's one more.
Yeah, there was another one. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And I mean, I can't imagine it raising my price at this point.
No, it'll probably save you a couple bucks.
I mean, I don't know. My subscription doesn't really kind of run out till next May, so I got a little bit of time with it. But
yeah.
I'm just sitting here watching my bill. But yeah, I mean, look, it's nice to have Freevee and Tubi, Peacock, where I don't have to really kind of reach into my wallet and pay for things.
What I like is I can hop on Tubi and I will find something, maybe even if it's a little obscure, that I'm a fan of, that I haven't seen in a long time, and I'm going to watch this, and I'll devote my time to that show instead of The Boys on Amazon Prime or The Acolyte, or if we weren't reviewing it, would I be watching it? You know what I mean? Probably not. But yeah, so I'm not surprised by this. I find it interesting, though.
I'll give you my take on that tomorrow. But Hayden, thank you as always. Fans, check us out, realgeekmedia.com. Hop on the link, sponsor us. talking about a potential patron where for $3, I'll have Hayden dress up in a hula skirt and dance around.
You'll be speaking to my agent first.
Look, if I can hoe you out for $1.50, I'm going to do it. And you know you're laughing, but you know I'm right.
Oh, man.
Okay.
That's a good segue. Stick around. We're back with news stories